Hi Clarinets, Mr. Y here, obviously coming back with the page 3 of the clarinet high notes. Just to review a little bit, on page 1 and 2, remember the notes we learned on page 1, we learned that high E, which is the same fingering as low A, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, plus of course your thumb key in the background. Remember, just tipping your thumb key, not very much. You should, by the way, have it at about a 45-degree angle, like so. You shouldn't have it straight up and down or straight side to side, but about like that. That makes it really easy to just tip your thumb key while you're covering up the thumb key. Remember, you can't uncover that or it won't work. Okay, so the high E, remember, is the same as low A. We also did the low G going up to the high D, as in David. And then on page 2, we did the high C. Now, high C, remember, has two different fingerings. There's the right hand one, which is the bottom center pinky key, not the top, not the side, but the bottom center pinky key. If you just tap the thumb key, that gives you the high C. Also, your left-hand version of C is what I call the golf club key. This guy right here looks a little bit, not the top one, but the next one down looks a little bit like a golf club. Yeah. Remember, you need to be able to use both these keys equally well. So when you practice it, if you're having more trouble with one hand, make sure you practice that extra. I'm right-handed, so I usually need to practice my left hand a little extra to make it work. Okay, just to let you guys know. Also, at this point, you're probably going to want to be getting used to reading the notes here. We do have the high E, of course. We have the high D, as in David. And then we have the high C, which is the two-finger one. Okay, we'll talk more about this in just a couple of minutes. On page 3, though, when we move on to page 3, we're going to add in a couple more notes. You can see line number 10. We have the D, and then the C, and then it goes down to a low B flat. Now we're using the first finger, remember. Okay, not B natural, but B flat is your first finger. And then from there, when we tip our thumb key up, it goes up to the high F. Okay, so number 10, the first half. Remember, keep your chin nice and flat, keep your lips nice and tight, keep a nice steady airstream for that. Okay, and just barely tip your thumb key. That's the key to this, really. Okay, the second half of number 10, we have an E, and then a D, and then a C, and then it tips up to the high G for that high note. So, pretty easy to do. I'm exaggerating my fingers out here. You shouldn't have your fingers way out. I'm just making sure you can see that I'm not pushing any fingers there. Okay, keep your fingers nice and close to the keys. Okay, so do all of line number 10, please. 1, 2, 3. And then the second half, 2, 3. And be able to hold those notes nice and long. I didn't say 10 seconds on this page, but you should be able to hold it for a nice long time. Okay, now number 11 is a scale, a little half scale that you can do both high and low with the same fingerings. You can see number 11 starts on that low F. Okay, we have F, and then G, and then A, and then B flat, and then C. So it's easy in terms of your fingers. You just pick up one finger at a time and put it back down. Remember, you're going to use both the left and right hand fingerings here. So your right hand one is going to be bottom center for the F, and then G, A, B, C, D, B, A, G, F. Okay, your right hand one is going to be the golf club key over here. So F, and then G, and then A, and then B, and C. All of them are the same except for that low note. Okay, so I'm going to play the right-handed version first. And then the left-handed version. Want to get fancy, go back and forth between the two. You do need to be able to use both these pinkies equally well. Okay, if you're right-handed, practice left extra, or vice versa. Now, the second half of line number 11 is the high version of this scale. It's the same exact fingerings, but now, if you tip your thumb key, you get the high C, and D, and E, and F, and G, and then back down. And again, you're going to do the left-handed version too, C, D, E, F, G. It's the same exact fingerings, but it's called different notes, and it's up high, that's all. So, right-handed version first. left-handed version. Again, keep your lips nice and tight, keep your chin nice and flat, keep your airstream nice and steady. You do need to have a good reed too. Sometimes 2.5s will work. Quite often 3s are what you need to go to really get the high notes well, unless you're playing a better reed. I right now have Rico Royals, which kind of work about a half a notch above everything else. So this is a Rico Royal 2.5 right now, which is kind of like a regular Rico 3, which means I can get the high notes, of course. If I was to play on a Rico Royal 3 or a regular Rico 3, or a Vanderin 2.5 or 3, that's really kind of the way to go here. Okay. Okay. So number 11 is kind of the low F half scale, and then it's the same fingerings for the high C half scale. Okay. Once you get past that, we got on to number 12, which is Goodnight Ladies. Pretty easy song to do. You can see that it starts out with that low A and then jumps up with your thumb key to the high E, and then we just start on the high E for the whole song. So really that first measure is just to find that first note, and then is where you're going to get good at that. Again, you want to be able to do both-handed. I just did the right-handed version, so let's do the left-handed version now. Okay, 2, 3. And again, you want to be able to use that left hand equally well with the right hand. Okay? Get really good at this page, by the way, before you go on to the next page, because on the next page we're going to get into the B keys, which are different pinkies, and you really want to be centered on this C first. Once you get really good at the C, it's a lot easier to go on to the next step. Okay, this whole package, this whole page thing with clarinet high notes is sequential. You got to really get good at the first thing before you go on to the second. You don't want to try multiplication before you're really good at addition. That's not going to work too well in math class. Okay. 13 is just a pinky exercise. You can see it's going back and forth. The first time through is the left-handed pinkies on the C's, and the second time through is the right-handed pinkies. Okay. Obviously, you could switch it around too. You could do the right-handed first and then the left-handed. That's fine too. You do need to be able to go both ways. Okay. So for 13, you're going to start on the C, and then go to D, and then go back to C, and then G. By the way, there is kind of a shortcut here. If you really need to, you can leave these fingers right here for the C, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're using the right-handed version, you can leave those down while you pick up your other hand, and it will go from a C to a G. So you can hear it doesn't change the sound a whole lot there. It does change it a little bit if you listen really carefully. But if you really need to do kind of a training wheels version of that C, you can do that. Okay. Let's do 13 left-handed. 1, 2, 3. And then the repeat right-handed. 1, 2, 3. If you want to get really fancy, you could alternate between those notes too. That'd be totally fine. Okay. Now we've added in a couple more notes here. We've added in the high F and the high G. High F, of course, looks like this on top of the staff. Empty garbage before Dad flips. And then high G is the one that hovers right above the staff. Okay. If you want to make yourself some flashcards, I have these fancy flashcards printed out, which I did at school here, but you could also just do these old school. You could write 5 lines, take your Sharpie, mark out a staff, put a treble clef on it, and then put the notes. And on the back, what you want to do is you want to write in the note name, but don't do it in your Sharpie. Do it in like pencil, because otherwise you'll be able to see it through the front. Okay. Then you can have your mom or dad or big sister or brother or whoever help you out reading the notes, because they'll be able to do this for you, and then you can name the note, and they'll be able to see what it is back here, even if they don't read the notes, even if they don't know the notes. Okay, that'd be a really good thing to do. If you want flashcards here at school, I have a bunch of these sets printed up. Just ask me for them. I'll be glad to give them to you. Or, of course, you can make your own. That'd be great, too. Okay, so that's page 3. Good luck.